Guys, before we hop into the video, my name is Faizaan. I'm 23 years old. I'm the founder of Unscripted Media. I'm a businessman and an educator online. So, with your help across platforms, Truthgate has by now reached 100,000 impressions online. It's not followers, it's just people discovering our work. So we're still small, but we are growing. So I started Truthgate because I believe that people deserve thoughtful discussions, not just headlines, and my vision is to build a platform for journalism, debate, opinion pieces, and simple explanations of geopolitics, history, economics, investing, and current affairs. If that vision resonates with you, the best way to support us is by subscribing here on YouTube, following us on Instagram, following us on X, and following on my personal pages, Faizaan Unscripted. Enjoy the video now.
Professor Jiang, welcome back to both of you. Professor Jiang, let me start with you. You made a lot of claims, really, towards the very start of this war, that you said that regime decapitation would fail, which is pretty much what's happened, that America would become bogged down in a drawn-out conflict. So far, pretty good. You also said that US would eventually have to put boots on the ground to achieve its goals. That hasn't happened, and we would hope it wouldn't. So when you look in totality at your gut feeling about the way this would play out, I mean, you're not far wrong. And I think the only reason the boots on the ground hasn't happened is because Donald Trump has realized this was an awful lot more difficult than he first imagined, and that actually, if he was to commit boots on the ground, it could turn into a complete disaster.
No, you're absolutely right. Boots on the ground would be a disaster, but I still believe that eventually the United States will be forced to use boots on the ground. In fact, you can argue that there's been a lot of preparation. You still have 60,000 American troops ready to go. They are staged and ready to go. And even though there's an MOU, they're still there. And you could also argue that the MOU is really just buying time because right now it's really hot in Iran. And so you have to wait for cooler weather before you can launch a ground invasion. And so I think we are in a waiting game right now, but eventually you will see boots on the ground.
So you think it will definitely happen?
I think the latest will be next March. It could be as early as December.
But why would Donald Trump take that gigantic risk, which is what it would be? I mean, doesn't all his behavior at the moment suggest that he just wants to get out of this?
I think the United States is still stuck in Iran right now because if the United States were to withdraw from Iran, then Iran would control the Middle East. The GCC would have to pay ransom, a huge reparation to Iran. And so they can no longer recycle US dollars back into the US economy, which feeds the AI bubble. And you could see a complete economic collapse if that were the case. So the Americans are just stuck where they are right now.
Andrew, welcome back to Uncensored, to you as well.
Well, guys, to me, this peace deal that has been signed between the United States of America and Iran seems very fickle. Guys, now listen to Andrew Bustamante's brilliant response. I think he makes a lot of sense. Listen to it.
On Professor Zhang's point about it's inevitable that ground forces will have to be committed at some stage. Do you agree with that?
I don't agree with that. And there's one major reason why. I believe that Donald Trump moved on Iran, not just because Israel sold him a false bill of goods, but also because he was looking for a very short, quick political victory, something that could be framed to the American people to show that the Trump White House was the best White House, the strongest White House, the most powerful White House. And that hasn't happened. So not only has the opposite kind of shown, not only do we see major Trump supporters backing away from Trump and Trump voters backing away from Trump, but we also have this question of what's the next 2 years going to look like. And if we do see a change in the Congress during the midterm elections, then it's going to be even more difficult for Donald Trump to execute his wishes in the Middle East. So it's going to become not only politically difficult, but militarily difficult and legislatively difficult to move troops into the Middle East, especially enough to actually execute the change that we're looking for.
Professor Jiang, your response to that?
Yeah, so first of all, you're assuming that if the Democrats take the House in November, they'll be staunchly anti-war. And there's actually no evidence that the Democrats are anti-war. In fact, the Democrats have enabled this administration's war making. So I think that if the Democrats were to take the House in November, Donald Trump would actually be under more pressure to use ground forces. Otherwise, he could face impeachment. He would need a distraction.
So what would be, in your eyes, what would be the purpose of committing ground forces? Would it be to effect regime change, or would it be to get the enriched uranium? I mean, what would be the mission?
The mission would be to force Iran to a political settlement right now. So right now there's an MOU, and there's a sticking point in the MOU, which is Lebanon. The United States has basically given Iran a lot. It's a very favorable deal for Iran. So the United States promises to lift sanctions, give Iran control over the Strait of Hormuz. So it's a very favorable MOU. But there's a sticking point, which is that Israel must withdraw from Lebanon. And Iran is very insistent on that because Hezbollah is a very close ally of the IRGC. Now, what the Americans believe is that because the terms are so favorable, the Iranians are willing to compromise on this Hezbollah issue. And the IRGC has shown these past few days that they're not willing to compromise. So now the strategy is basically to force a military solution. And you do that by eliminating Iran's proxies in the Middle East, which includes Hezbollah, the Houthis, and the Shia militias in Iraq. And then you dislodge IRGC from the Strait of Hormuz, which is the main negotiating chip of the IRGC. Now, these past few days, we've seen massive movements on all fronts. So Saudi Arabia is rallying tribespeople, arming them to march against the Houthis. There's a crackdown in Baghdad. They call it corruption crackdown, but it's really the Iraqi prime minister consolidating power, and it's possible he moves against the Shia militias at some point. The big flashpoint, of course, is Lebanon. So recently, under Marco Rubio, Israel and Lebanon have come to a peace treaty, and this could provoke a civil war between Hezbollah and the Lebanese government. There's talk of ISIS coming in from the north, from Syria, and then Israel is going to extend its southern offensive. So I see this as a coordinated attempt to destroy all of Iran's proxies at once. There have been some multiple aerostrikes against the IRGC positions in the Strait of Hormuz, and people expect that's really softening positions in order to insert ground forces at some point.
Yeah.
All right, I think you've heard both of them talk. You can come to your own conclusions. You can let me know in the comments what you think about Professor Jiang and Andrew Bustamante's two theories on how and where the war is right now. Thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.